Hello, and welcome to my show, The Thriving Woman. I am your host, Carmel Austin.
I can't believe I'm counting down the minutes till it's Tuesday. Another day back on.
I will be sharing keys to help you form healthy hearts and boundaries. I'll see you in the show. Hello, and welcome to another amazing episode of The Thriving Woman. I have my beautiful friend and co-host, ShonaRobyn, on with me today. It is such a privilege to have Shona back on this show because over the last few months, ShonaRobyn and I have been working hard, and she has been working very hard on her chapter for our new book, Courageous Voices Unlocked. And today, Shona told me that we are releasing the book on her birthday. So how exciting is that? Welcome, Shona, to another amazing episode.
I'm loving it. I'm just so grateful to be here. And I looked at the date for the release of the book and I went, oh, yeehaw, look at that. That's my birthday. So look at that, Carmel. How happy am I?
Isn't that beautiful? You know, folks, and if you have watched our first podcast show together, Shona and I talked about what she's been through, her journey, an adoptive daughter, living, born in New Zealand, living now here in Australia. And, you know, just a few short months ago, Shona joined a Pain into Purpose Summit, which I was speaking at, and I invited her to share her story on my podcast show. And here we are now. The book is being formatted with my formatter, my editor, Stephanie and I have been working so hard together. We have 10 authors. Behind me, we have the painting that I painted for the cover. We released the cover. We had a cover reveal this last weekend, which was really exciting to do that. I never did that with the Artist Haven, but to have the privilege, I had a whole photo shoot as well with one of our authors that are living down here in the local area, Catherine. And Catherine and I have known each other for more than 30 years, the same as Shona and I. And a few years ago, Catherine started doing some coaching with me, and now she's got her story as well in our book. So I am just so thrilled and overwhelmed that we are at this stage of the journey. So today I'll be chatting with Shona about a few different things. We'll be talking about her chapter in the book and what it means to her and her story. We'll be talking about her as, you know, joining with me as a podcast host and really sharing her journey of who she is now. And I just see this lady, this woman, this friend of mine who is just glowing. You know, it was just a short few months ago, only this year, that we connected. And Shona had shared with me that, you know, she had a lot of blocks in her life with her emotions, with the way she was expressing herself. And now she has just come leaps and bounds. So Shona, just come on and share with my audience some of the things, some of the keys that you have found that you are putting into your life that is making that smile on your face just shine so much brighter.
Thank you. It's a wonderful introduction. I just love it. Thank you, Carmel. The journey. What a journey. What a journey. The journey of life. And you asked for a theme of forgiveness. And so I took that theme as I was preparing for this, and I covered the kitchen bench here with all these papers from whether it was Bible quotes or learning from ICI. and the different stages of my journey in learning. But I want to grab Romans 5:3-7 first, because it says, and not only that, but we also glory in our tribulations, knowing that tribulations produces perseverance, and perseverance character, and character hope. I love that verse, because the trials and tribulations, they come, they're there, they're not going to go away, but it's all in the embracing life, living life. And I think forgiveness comes through healthy emotions. Healthy emotions come through awareness, because the big thing that separates the healthy person, healthy emotional person, in their relationships and conversations and life events, is having awareness of your own shadow side, your own failures, your own ability to do it wrong, and acknowledge it. The person who's not aware, the true narcissist, the hallmark of their behaviors is their unawareness. There's total unawareness that they're mean, miserable, unhappy, and producing, what's that word for when you transfer it onto other people and blame other people. And to be aware means, yes, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to fail in relationships, say the wrong thing. But a little part of your brain goes, oh, did I say that? Or in my case, with a lifelong dissociative disorder, not being present, not engaging, being emotionally numb, and finding my way through that. You know, my chapter in the book, I have emphasized that. I've let it be known that that was an issue for me, but I'm also aware of the huge covering of miracles from during the pregnancy with my unmarried mother, during the time in the nursery in the hospital, and in my relationships with my adoptive mother. There's just, and parents, there were miracles, and living in New Zealand. Oh my goodness, was I blessed to live in the heart of the Southern Alps, and that was my playground. And that was the presence of God. And that's why, you know, I think my greatest learning in the end has been a journey of discovery. And it's an inner journey. It's about finding that lost. I had such a wonderful time in the Southern Alps. Finding and getting in touch with my emotions. And I'm an extrovert, Carmel. I have to be around people. And it's no good me isolating and being alone, except to rest. I'm sensible about that. I need my quiet time. But I'm still working because I love my job. And that's because I love looking after people and nurturing people. 85-year-old client at the moment, the retired physio, and wants to walk the park still, go to aqua aerobics, and she needs safety. She needs a companion. I just love it. But I think the greatest learning experiences have been totally the journey of discovery. And that discovery is spirituality, thanks to my birth month.
Yeah.
Identity, thanks to reunion with all my families. And emotions, rediscovering, or actually discovering that I have.
So, Shona, from what you're saying, there's been so many things that have happened in your life with your generations, with your Maori heritage, with your family, with forgiveness and unforgiveness, and realizing, you know, that Christ is the one that gives us the forgiveness at the cross. And when we bring all of that pain and that unforgiveness to the cross, we can have a free heart. We can be free in feeling comfortable, not allowing that person to be in our head or those thoughts to be in our head, which often then works out in sickness. And that's really sad. And for me personally, I've had neighbours pass away, and I've got another neighbour who's going to pass away soon. I've had aunties pass away in the last few months, and we had a long-standing member of City Church. She was 99, who passed away, Beryl Gregory. So, you know, we all go through different stages of grief. And from what, you know, as your writing coach and been there with you from the beginning as you started to write your story down, and you know the first stages of it is always messy, and getting that out and getting that down on paper and all the coaching sessions that we've had together, I'm so proud that, you know, we've come up with a story that, you know, is not only uniquely you, but it fits in perfectly into the theme of my books. Because, folks, you know, I do co-author books, but our books are very different to the general co-author book that you do. My first book, Just Say No, I wrote my story. And, you know, that was first. And then each other lady who wrote their story, they wrote their story and they didn't link. But with all of my stories in my book, God just orchestrates all of the authors, and each story links to the next one. So, you know, where Shona is sitting in our book, she's there amongst, you know, the story that's come before and how it links into that, and then she's introducing the next person, and how our relationships and our lives link together with God's love. So Shona, I know that, you know, it's been quite a few months now of us meeting together and working with me personally. Then we went to Stephanie as the editor and getting her to look at where the story was going, because I know you and I did the bulk of the work together. And you know, just getting it down to now having it ready to be published, I'm just so proud of the growth I've seen in your life as you as a person, and the awareness that you have come into. And I love that you stay true to your story. You stay true to your story of the miracle of your birth and where you have come from, your relationship that you have found, that you developed with your beautiful mum, from your birth mum, your own children, and where God is taking you on this journey. So, Shona, share a little bit about that journey of when you've been writing and the aha moments that you found in your own life personally.
I think there's a number of points there. The writing was revelation stuff. The writing gave me the opportunity to look at some of the dark places and dark experiences, but with compassion, and loving kindness for the parts within me and the experiences I had gone through, whilst acknowledging that there was still some amazing life experiences worthy of noting. I had to laugh because all my friends and family laughed that you limited me to 4,000 words, and everyone's going, there's no way you can your life in 4,000 words. And I did it, but my goodness, we had to work on that one. I loved that the editing that you and Stephanie did was more of mentoring. It was so creative. It was guidance. It was, you know, I still laugh at my beloved daughter, Tanya, who's been wanting me to finish my sentences. And if my story becomes elaborate and what's the word I want there for, it keeps going and keeps going and keeps going
That we can repeat ourselves and talk a lot. Stephanie pulls me up with that all the time.
yeah. And
Rambling on.
Yes. And she's like, land that plane, Mum, land that plane. And I love that. And I just think, she must love what's happening and right through the book, it was about, could you build on this part of the story more, or tell us how you felt going through that process. That's huge. That's huge. That was tapping into the compassion and the collaboration, and I loved it. I never felt that the editing was a negative experience, or it was absolutely and took it that extra length and made it work that way, to absolutely focus, being aware, becoming aware of the grief in my many families, and including my daughter. And I'll focus on this for a moment, because I think what Tanya and Brett do every year is what's worth sharing. So Tanya's second pregnancy was a little stillborn. That's grief at its basic level. And what I love about Tanya and her husband Brett is that every year on it's Ollie James's birthday, no one goes to work, no one goes to school. They have a family day. They have a ritual. They go out for Yum Cha. They go to Darling Harbour. They remember their lost little brother, son, with flowers at the water's edge. They take a family photo and they go home and have birthday cake. Now, I think if ever that was a magnificent demonstration of the family dealing with deep grief. Doesn't get deeper than that. And I think Brett's contribution as the husband and looking after the sons and remembering, that's all Daniel wants, guys. She wants Ollie James remembered.
Yeah.
And my birth mum, the stories there, I was the firstborn adopted out. 9 pregnancies, 4 living children, but 4 miscarriages. A really challenging suicide attempt that was pivotal, and not only when God saved her life, but drawing her back to God and being the person. And she was widowed young. She kept Jesus close. She kept Jesus at the dining table. She did communion alone at home. She had the table set to have Jesus. And that's my foundation of that relationship, was my birth mother taking me to her Pentecostal church. And I love her dearly for her role as a grief counselor. And my daughter and son-in-law looking after their sons with their loss and not letting, of course there's grief and it'll never go away.
No.
But never go away. It's lifelong. The adoption journey, my journey, is lifelong.
Yep.
So yeah. And so grief is such an integral part of life. Grief and trauma, one way or another, we're all affected. I love, you have got up the road for you in Bundanoon, Tria King, and I'm aware that she tells the cancer patients not to look for a cure, but to seek peace. when my lovely friend told me that, I was like, that's for all of us.
Yeah.
You know? And the other thing Patria keeps repeating is that we're all going to bump into the D's. And the D's are disaster, divorce, diagnosis, drama, death, disfigurement, depletion, disagreement, despair, depression, disloyalty, disappointment. You are going to meet these. This is an integral part of your life. And it will be grief and trauma, depression as the outcome. And you've got to, there's no shortcuts, but
No.
one way or another, finding the pathway through, knowing that, I think it's Romans 5 again, that is the answer, or that it's not an answer. There's no easy answer. There's no easy pathway. But what there is there is resilience, there is perseverance, there is, and for me, it's compassion, loving kindness, and it all adds up. It all builds towards forgiveness of yourself for however long you stay in that place. But you can move, there's movement, and finding your emotions, living your emotions, and being real about them. If you're sad, you're sad. Have a morning being sad. Allow the tears. If you've got tears, that is a gift, God, if you can weep.
Yes, I remember when we first had our first session, I cried, and you said to me you weren't able to, but I know you've shared with me on this journey of writing and doing your coaching that now those tears have been released. Share with us, Shona, how that feels for you as you've taken this journey of pain into purpose, sharing your courageous voice, talking about your story on my podcast shows, writing your story down. And hey, folks, her 4,000 words is just the beginning for Shona. Shona and I, you know, she signed up with me, and we're writing her book as well. You know, I'm doing my heritage book through my eyes and doing my kids' book, but we're doing Shona's book as well. This is just an introduction for her, but I just feel so blessed that in these short 4 months, she has just grown and blossomed, and she's allowed, those tears have come up. And, you know, instead of, I remember her saying to me, thank you for crying for me because I can't. And then when she messaged me and told me she'd been crying, that's my greatest, you know, joy as her coach, as a wholeness coach, as her writing coach, as her friend, her mentor, helping her along this journey. You know, Courageous Voices Unlocked is not just about, you know, our words written on a page. It's about the story. It's about beyond the written words. It's about taking what's come in the past and our grief and our losses, and sharing how God is transforming us and has transformed us. And I have to say, I am and I have seen such a transformation in Shona's life, and being one of the team of us 10, she's been an encouragement to me. When I've gone through some really difficult times, I've been able to reach out to her, and she's listened and understood and prayed with me, and that's what I build. That's what, you know, this is the community that I build. It's beyond the written word. And yes, we have to get this professional book out, and yes, you know, we want to go to #1 international sellers as well, and all of those things that are around it. But it's about me, with my being the nurturer and the mother, caring for each one of my authors and listening to them, listening to where they're at, understanding their needs, and being able to, you know, being able to make sure they're all safe on that boat, and that, you know, we can all land that boat or that plane or dock that boat all together and celebrate together. So how exciting that, you know, we're planning for that date, the 18th. And we're not saying absolute, because we've learnt from the past as well, but we're moving towards that date and that date weekend. So Shona, as you reflect upon the story in Courageous Voices Unlocked, what element, as we finish up for my audience, just share one key that you found with learning your voice and your courageous voice to encourage them?
I believe that in answering, and it was way back at the beginning of my life coach learning, and the question that was asked was, what was my ultimate focus? And so what's happened for me in joining you in writing this one chapter, but tapping into the memories and the losses and bringing it to life. And so my ultimate focus, to focus on loving and fulfilling life experiences, every moment and every experience, that aliveness and abundance and energy and wellness. But the key, the biggie, is to embrace all emotional experience, because every emotional experience matters. And that includes my grief and my sadness and my anger, and knowing that there's a place for it, and knowing that under my anger has been so much grief and so much shame. And allowing, because once you try and shut out these emotions, you shut them all out. And so bringing them back in, feeling them, the awareness changes everything for all of us. It's insight. Awareness leads to learning and growth, and each of those leads to forgiveness. And then the gratitude of what you've just learned has to be living forgiveness.
Yeah.
Because that's what you're looking for. And live a life of gratitude. That's huge.
Yeah.
Huge. And that's what's happening. Gratitude is, the key for me. And every emotional experience.
Thank you so much, Shona, for being so honest, so vulnerable, because it's not easy. It's not easy getting in front of the camera and being honest about your story. And I know for me, when I wrote my story in my first book, Just Say No, when I talked about my journey of loss of my children, and it's been 11 years ago that, I had my funeral, that Lindley stood beside me and I read out my what I'd written to my children, and I couldn't keep on saying it, and she stood there and read the rest of it for me. And then, I know I had a visitation from the Lord and one of my children that day in the room. And, that was for me. A lot of friends said they watched the grief just lift from me, because that it was acknowledged that my 7 children are growing up in heaven, and I hadn't had that funeral or that acknowledgement when you go through IVF, but their life growing up in heaven, and they're our children, they're Wayne and my children. And I've had the opportunity where I'm a grandmother now, and I do, I mothered many friends' children's and family and in the church, but it still doesn't take away from that grief. And for me now, birthing books and having all my beautiful authors and sharing their stories, and that's another way that expresses that what I'm birthing. But my greatest desire was to birth my own children, but I had to come to that understanding. So folks, we all go through many griefs, whether it's you're adopted, you've been abandoned, you've taken on as an orphan, you've got nobody. God is there. He's always there. And when we're willing to open up our hearts and let him come in and see the good that he can create in our lives. And I know ShonaRobyn and I, there's been many years of disassociation, all of those things. So as we move on now, we're going to finish up. And of course, there'll be other times where ShonaRobyn and I will be coming together because she's one of my co-hosts on my podcast show over this season of season 3 in The Thriving Woman. I'm just so excited that we could talk a little bit more about this journey of where Shona is at, where forgiveness is the key to healing, and where we move to the next place with God's grace. So thank you, Shona, for being honest, vulnerable, and coming on board with me and being one of my beautiful authors, because you have just been such a privilege to work with. And I'm so excited that, once the book is finished, we have our magazine coming out with your article in there as well. And then we're going to be working together with, putting your book together as well. So there's so much opportunity for our friendship to grow, our relationship to grow. And, I'm so privileged as your writing mentor and your friend to be on this journey with you. So folks, I'm going to say thank you for joining in another podcast show. This has been a very raw and real show. And I'll say I'll see you in another episode of The Thriving Woman. God bless for now.